I have been Salesman of the Month for 13 out of the last 12 months.
There's no one on the office quite so wonderfully weird as Dwight K. Schrute. Most of us like the idea of being our own person, of going our own way.
You could go your own way.
But how many of us actually have the guts to? Dwight is so instinctively and winningly himself that he seems to have almost no self-doubt, no need to change for others, and he truly doesn't care what people think. Why should he when he believes most people are clueless idiots?
We don't need idiots.
It hurts.
Good for nothings. Meth heads. Or, what's your name?
Kathy.
Kathy.
We could all be more like Dwight.
False.
And that doesn't necessarily mean to share his worldview, but to march to the beat of our own drum and not give a damn what anybody else thinks about it.
Dwight Schrute, star salesman, beet farmer, bed and breakfast proprietor, aspiring freelance bodyguard.
So here's our take on how to adopt some pointers from the Dwight playbook and experience the power of going your own way.
Sir, where should we send the ambulance?
Send it to the frickin' moon, idiot.
Before we go on, we want to talk a little bit about this video's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a superb online learning community with thousands of classes about everything. Bitcoin trading, playing guitar, stop-motion animation. Click the link in the description below to get 2 months access to all classes for free. In many ways, we the viewers start out aligned with normal guy Jim. Jim nods at the camera as if he, like us, is observing these nuts around him, laughing at them with us. And at first, with Jim, the main thing we enjoy about Dwight is that no one else is anywhere near as much fun to prank. When Jim transfers, he discovers that his favorite work pastime just doesn't work without his frenemy.
I need to know who put my calculator in Jell-O, or I'm gonna lose my freaking mind!
Now, we might not all aspire to be the target of practical jokes, but Dwight's prankability testifies to 3 key qualities in his personality. 1, his lack of regard for what others consider normal.
Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Jim. We've been working together for 12 years.
And this results in number 2, his willingness to believe in things other people would call crazy.
Dwight, at 8 a.m. today, someone poisons the coffee. Do not drink the coffee. More instructions will follow. Cordially, future Dwight.
Yes, as a result, Dwight can be gullible and believe in wacky conspiracies. But he's also looking for the truth under the surface of things, and he just might be open to observations others can't see.
But in a way, the most valuable thing here wasn't the telescope at all. No. It was this packet of beans.
And the third and probably best reason that Dwight's so prankable is he has a total commitment to everything he does.
Chapter 4. One of the host's most important duties is as dance master. A proper courtly dance sets the tone for the entire afternoon.
This complete and disciplined focus is why when Dwight goes for something, he sticks with it until it's a success.
You know what is important? Is Dwight's pillars. And there is only one: desire.
All 3 qualities we've just talked about make a day with Dwight pretty fun and eventful. And these qualities make Dwight the best salesman in the office, as we're told time and time again over the years.
Dwight's the top salesman in the company.
I noticed you've had a great year.
Dwight was the top salesman of the year at our company.
I've just been impressed with your performance.
Look, we need our top salesman running point on this, and Dwight, that is you.
You might assume being good at sales would require a personable temperament. But notably, Dwight's not very concerned with being liked.
There's too many people on this earth. We need a new plague.
Whereas someone like Pam is one of the nicest people in the office, and also the worst salesperson.
Tell me I'm good at sales.
You're good at sales.
So in a lot of jobs, it might make sense to follow Dwight's example a bit and lay off the people-pleasing, to instead let your results speak for themselves and make yourself indispensable.
How would I describe myself? 3 words. Hardworking, alpha male, jackhammer. Merciless, insatiable.
Of course, you don't want to emulate some of Dwight's more unprofessional behaviors, which get in the way of his rising up the ranks. He brings weapons to work and even fires a gun in the office.
Andy!
It's so loud!
And he's got a disturbing desire to rule over others in a somewhat authoritarian fashion.
Blood alone moves the wheels of history!
But after Dwight suffers a lot of disappointments,
Always the Padawan, never the Jedi.
eventually his perseverance pays off, and he finally gets his dream job of manager.
I've just waited for this moment my entire life.
Once he's emotionally developed enough to understand how to lead people with grace and respect, instead of just seeing them as underlings. So, like Dwight, we ought to stick it out and keep our compass pointed in the direction of our ultimate ambition, even if getting there may take us longer than we'd like.
Under the right manager, that's not a bad team.
A big reason Dwight's so unusual is that he has a totally different cultural upbringing than most people.
Welcome to Schrute Farm!
He grew up on a farm in the Pennsylvania Dutch community and was raised according to Amish religious values. Dwight thinks only children should visit the dentist.
Adults are supposed to go to the dentist too.
Are they now? How some people spend their money.
His courtship of a potential bride involves negotiating on farm equipment.
Thing is, we were hanging out with her father the other night looking at a farm catalog. Next thing I know, he wants to lease a tractor with me. Ugh.
He speaks some German, but
My German is pre-industrial and mostly religious.
and it's implied that his grandparents fought on the German side in World War II.
World War II veteran. Killed 20 men, then spent the rest of the war in an Allied prison camp.
From what we can tell, Dwight's culture values self-sufficiency.
In the Schrute family, the youngest child always raises the others. I've been raising children since I was a baby.
Frugality.
I was shunned from the age of 4 until my 6th birthday for not saving the excess oil from a can of tuna.
Practical life skills.
Check for an organ donor card. If he has one, we only have minutes to harvest.
And big families.
Congratulations on your one cousin. I have 70, each one better than the last.
They distrust modern technology.
Why do you have a diary? To keep secrets from my computer.
You know what?
And have a whole set of hierarchies that the average viewer wouldn't really understand.
I wouldn't let her manage a celery farm.
Those who can't farm celery.
Even if we're not all ready to pack up and move to a beet farm, we can admire the fortitude and integrity of Dwight's lifestyle. He's embracing his cultural heritage and preserving it in a way that's incredibly rare today.
Oh, judgment is nigh, for der Belschnickel ist I.
Yes, he is finally nigh.
He does this while being pretty well integrated into mainstream society, which seems like no easy task. And while Dwight likes making money and succeeding at his job, his mindset is pretty far from the hyper-capitalist outlook that a lot of modern people unthinkingly absorb.
It always amuses me when corporate thinks it can make some big change with a 20-minute meeting and some fancy high-rise.
He values what the market doesn't, and he shows us a meaningful alternative to consumerist life, a sustainable of-the-earth existence.
I wish I could menstruate. If I could menstruate, I wouldn't have to deal with idiotic calendars anymore. I'd just be able to count down from my previous cycle. Plus, I'd be more in tune with the moon and the tides.
Dwight is a natural man.
Lunch.
He looks at our society and sees a bunch of animals in the wild.
In the wild, there is no health care.
This can lead to some awkward behavior.
The menstrual cycle determines every choice a woman makes. You see, during ovulation, a woman's only goal is to get pregnant. And during menses, she is sad that she has failed. And how does the woman console herself? Shopping.
But Dwight also has some canny insights into human nature because he sees us as not so fundamentally different from the animals.
Her milk is coming in. She's getting uncomfortable.
Dwight, don't be gross.
No, he's right.
Same thing happens with my cows if I don't tend them frequently enough.
And in the fascinating episode when he gets Jim back for all of those pranks in a brutal snowball fight that totally shakes Jim's nerves, we emerge with a wary respect for Dwight's animal instincts. After a lot of moments that have encouraged us to view Dwight as a bit of an idiot.
Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing.
This episode makes us wonder if he does have kind of a genius residing in there somewhere.
In the end, the greatest snowball isn't a snowball at all. It's fear.
There's certainly no one in the office you'd rather have at your side in the apocalypse.
Everyone, follow me to the shelter. We've got enough food for 14 days. After that, we have a difficult conversation.
His natural outlook enables him to be honest in a way that no one else will be.
I think Dwight is the only one who's telling me the truth. Dwight, am I hot right now?
Why would I or anyone else think that you're hot right now? I can't impregnate you, and that's the driving force between male-female attraction.
And we're often left not quite knowing whether whatever he's just said is profoundly insightful or completely nonsensical.
Women are like wolves. If you want a wolf, you have to trap it. You have to snare it. And then you have to tame it. Keep it happy, care for it, feed it lovingly, the way an animal deserves to be loved.
So he makes us see it can be useful to remember our connection to the laws of nature, instead of pretending that just because we work on computers in an office, we're totally removed from the ways of the animal kingdom.
So you're talking to Aaron earlier. I noticed that your pupils dilated and your skin flushed, and I'm assuming a little bit of blood rushed into your penis.
Dwight has traditional, rural, conservative values. He looks down on progressive urban types, like his siblings.
I can't stand the fact that Jeb is a pot farmer. He could have grown anything in the world.
And he's not exactly woke.
When two gay men have sex, how do they know whose penis will open up to accept the other person's penis?
You'd think that based on this, liberal urban viewers might dislike the character. But that's not the case. Stats have shown that The Office has quite an upscale audience. Back when it was airing, it was one of the most popular shows among viewers making over $100,000 a year. It was also one of the most popular scripted shows among the younger 18 to 34 demographic. An Ad Age reported in 2010 that, quote, folks who consider themselves superior to others are 47% more likely to watch this show. Now, among this group of viewers, Dwight is consistently listed as an audience favorite, often coming in second only to Michael. So it seems like young, affluent, elitist people, exactly the types Dwight can't stand, love watching the guy.
This is a real thing. Belschnickel is a crotchety, fur-clad gift giver in the folklore of southwestern Germany.
Yes, of course. Okay, great. Seriously, you guys? Now you believe in Dwight's traditions when some Democrat looks it up on Wikipedia?
You could read the Dwight versus Jim opposition in the story as an interesting representation of rural conservative values versus urban liberal ones. At first, Jim looks at Dwight and sees a nutty, uneducated country boy who buys into crazy conspiracy theories, loves guns, is a bit paranoid and antisocial, and is obsessed with all things militaristic.
Well, I say, it's better to be hurt by someone you know accidentally than by a stranger on purpose.
Even though he ironically doesn't seem to know what he's talking about a lot of the time.
As it turns out, Dwight finding drugs is more dangerous than most people using drugs.
Meanwhile, Dwight looks at Jim and sees someone who's complacent, lazy, and lacking direction, and who expects things to be handed to him, even though he hasn't applied himself with anything like the motivation Dwight has.
I mean, I've always subscribed to the idea that if you really want to impress your boss, you go in there and you do mediocre work, half-heartedly.
Together, though, Jim and Dwight make an awesome pair. And maybe the improvements that both see in their lives come from them actually becoming more like each other. Dwight grows more sensitive and emotionally sophisticated thanks to his friendship with Jim and Pam.
I let Pam win. I was not motivated by compassion.
As a result, eventually he's able to acknowledge what he really wants out of his life and get a happy ending with his true love, Angela.
I'm a dad!
You're a dad!
Jim finds happiness only when he taps into a Dwight-like drive to put himself out there, risk failure, and go after what he wants. First with Pam, and then in pursuing a career he cares about. So these unexpected best friends illustrate that you don't have to be the same to love each other. We become better through relationships with those who bring different perspectives and strengths into our lives, and we don't have to agree on everything to value each other. In the end, he acknowledges that many of the most important people in his life are from the office, people who don't just represent his comfort zone.
Your friend's not turning out to be as great as you thought? Not even Gabor?
I guess I just have higher standards for my work colleagues than for my friends.
So he shows us our lives get richer when we grow to make room for people who aren't just like us.
Best prank ever.
Dwight prides himself on being unsentimental,
Nostalgia is truly one of the great human weaknesses, second only to the neck.
even diabolical.
Diabolical plan? I wouldn't even know how to begin
I found a copy of it in the copier tray.
But deep down, he's fiercely loving and loyal, especially to his idol, Michael, and his love, Angela. In fact, Dwight is so loyal, he gets taken advantage of by the people he loves.
Dwight, you ignorant slut!
Michael is dismissive and unappreciative of Dwight's service.
Idiot!
I'm trying to get your back. I'm trying to... Are you calling me an idiot? Don't you ever talk to me that way.
Meanwhile, Dwight is devoted to Angela even though she stays engaged to Andy while she's sleeping with Dwight.
How could she be sleeping with you this whole time, only sleep with me twice?
She's sleeping with you?
That's the one.
So there's a lot that's sweetly naive and emotionally immature about Mr. Schrute when the show begins.
Michael!
Oh, that's funny.
Michael!
He has to learn to put up some boundaries and demand more respect.
White tells me you've been pestering him for company info.
Dwight would not.
He did.
In the end, he's achieved more equality in his relationships. He's also opened up and become able to express emotion in a more adult way through friendships and a strong support network.
Oscar Martinez, my accountant, is now godfather to my son. My top salesman, Jim Halpert, was best man at my wedding. And office administrator, Pamela Beasley Halpert, is my best friend.
Dwight shows us the beauty of being weird. And while he might not have everything that you or I may dream of, Dwight is generally very happy with the life he's built for himself. So that tells us he's doing something right.
I signed up for Second Life about a year ago. Back then, my life was so great that I literally wanted a second one. Absolutely everything was the same, except I could fly.
Ultimately saying we should all be Dwight means we should dare to have tunnel vision, pick a goal and go after it, embrace weird, crazy hobbies that other people think are insane, be passionately loving and loyal to the people we care about, grow and mature over time, and always be ourselves, no matter what the world has to say about it.
You made a big mistake. Huge.
There it is. All right.
Ha. I'll take the wizard.
Okay.
This is Chris Burkhardt. Chris is an acclaimed adventure photographer, and he's worked with high-profile clients like Toyota and the North Face. If you share Dwight's passion for nature and the outdoors, you should channel that love into outdoor photography. Try Chris's class on Skillshare.
It's really just about being willing to be creative, being willing to make mistakes, being willing to try.
This is why we love Skillshare's service. The classes are taught by amazing, accomplished working professionals in design, photography, social media, business, entrepreneurship, and more. In fact, Skillshare actually has helped us at Screen Prism to learn more about animation and design. They offer 20,000 classes about any skill you might want to learn, all for less than $10 a month. And right now, you can get 2 months access to all of their classes for free. But that's only if you're one of the first 500 people who click the link in our description below. It's a great deal, so hurry up and don't miss out.